Encounter is brought to you by the Broome County Council of Churches, where we connect compassion with needs as we inspire growth with dignity. You'll find us in special places throughout the community. For those who remain hungry, we provide meals. For those who are challenged, we build wheelchair ramps. We comfort those who are ill, minister to those who are confined, and we remain an advocate for change and understanding on behalf of every element of our community. Connect and inspire. Encounter the Broome County Council of Churches.
Friends, welcome to the Encounter program sponsored by the Broome County Council of Churches. I'm your host, Mark Kimpland, the pastor at the Endwell United Methodist Church. I'm excited about today's program because I'm always amazed to know the depth of services that are available in Broome County and the surrounding areas. And when I uncover a gem, I try to get that gem on the show to share their ministries and to share what they are doing. And we have one such gem today, and I would like to take this opportunity as I have the honor and the privilege to introduce to you our guest today, Maria Dibble, who is the Executive Director of the Southern Tier Independence Center, better known to you as STIC. So Maria, welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
I am glad you are here.
So I'm really happy to be here too. It's always nice to meet with people, even if we're meeting not together, but across the TV screen and the waves that go across the world.
Absolutely.
But we are here to talk about STIC, and I just wanted to introduce myself a little bit.
Yes.
I grew up on Long Island, and when it was college time, I decided to go upstate and ended up at Binghamton University in the early 70s. And after I met my husband in college, and we married, so we stayed up here. And I've been married over 40 years, which is a wonderful thing.
Yes, it
I
is.
think that's my biggest life achievement.
Yes.
And my second biggest life achievement was that I started working on a program. People have told me, did you ever hear about independent living? And I said, no, what's independent living? Well, it's a program where people with disabilities can empower themselves, take control of their own lives and the direction of their lives, and be supported by other peers with similar disabilities. And I said, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
So considering some of the experiences I had when I was younger and in high school and things like that, I thought, wow, this is the perfect program. It sounds like a great idea. And a grant became available to fund the program, and we got it to start Southern Tier Independence Center in Binghamton. And it has been a real experience. It's been a joy to me. It's my baby. As one of the co-founders, and we started in 1983 with 4 staff and a grant of $100,000, and we are now have approximately 700 to 800 employees, and we have we had about an $18 million budget, but that sadly is going down because we've lost some programs through changes in New York State. But we are still thriving. We serve people with all types of disabilities and of all ages. So from birth to death and everyone in between, we are there to serve people with disabilities. But not only people with disabilities, but we also support families. So we're working to ensure that families stay together, that they understand the disability, if it's a person with a newly acquired disability, that they understand the services that are available. And most importantly, that they are able to make their own choices. We present people with choices about services, and then we allow them to make those decisions. That's the key to what we do.
Yes, yeah, that's wonderful. The scope, what impressed me is when I finally connected with what STIC really was and went to your website. I was just astounded at the number of services and the ways that you are helping people with disabilities and across the board and families from birth to death, and that's just so very impressive. But so you've been doing this for 37 years.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. And prior to that conversation about independent living, this wasn't on your radar then or anything like that?
I always knew I wanted to get involved with some kind of program that worked with people with disabilities, because my experience growing up with a disability, and I did go through public school, I was always integrated, and my experience was But people basically thought because I had a disability, I wasn't capable. Especially people seem to view blindness as an especially debilitating disability that really allows you to do nothing. Well, that's not true. But people have a misperception because they're not aware and they're not educated.
Right.
And so I always thought, if I could get into some kind of program that would help people with disabilities make the world aware of who we are, that we're people just like everyone else out there, that we have the same needs, the same desires, the same faults also, unfortunately, as everyone else does. So this is what we strive to do, to let people know while we're providing direct services. We also try to let people know through our advocacy that we're here as human beings, just like you.
Yes.
And we, like human beings, want the same respect, the same civil rights as other people.
Yes, yeah. I'd be interested, because I certainly want to get into to what's happening today with STIC and such, but I'd be interested just maybe a broad stroke understanding. In those early days, what were some of those challenges? I mean, we're talking almost 4 decades ago, and that was placed on your heart to do this. What were some of the early challenges to get this off the off
There
and
were a
flying?
lot of them.
I'm sure there were.
Oh my God.
I'm sure there
so,
were.
like, we first had to let people know we were around. So
Yes.
the first challenge was to get the word out. So we did that, and especially notified all the agencies that we could find that in those days everything was on paper. We had this big book that the United Way used to publish that was called the Human Services Directory, and we went through that, and we wrote letters and sent out information, and we started getting referrals. So getting people wasn't too difficult, because people found, a new agency to dump people on. Sorry, I didn't really mean it, but it kind of felt that way at the time.
Okay.
So we got some very difficult people.
Okay.
And I don't say difficult that they were difficult, but they had challenges.
Okay.
And people didn't understand their challenges. And we tried to think outside the box, because obviously solutions that were presented weren't working, so we had to come up with different solutions. Our goal, again, to keep a person home and not to segregate them in an institution. So that's always been our focus, and that wasn't always the focus of the rest of society. Things have changed a lot in that regard.
Yes. Yeah.
But I guess one of the issues that unfortunately has continued for 37 years is the lack of employment opportunities for people with disabilities. The unemployment rate it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 60%.
Wow.
And that really hasn't changed too much over the 37 years that I've been around. So that's a sad thing, but so many other things have improved. So the good things, the Americans with Disabilities Act has brought a lot of good things to the community. We now have accessible transportation, so you can see the lifts on the buses. We have curb cuts at all the corners, or just about all the corners.
Yeah.
You go shopping, and sometimes, usually, aisles are a little wider. Sometimes it isn't true, but if you notify them of why they should be, so a wheelchair can get through, the stores will usually make the changes. It's more out of awareness, a lack of awareness, than it is out of anything else.
Yeah.
So we've seen a lot of changes in that regard. We've seen more acceptance. If you look on TV, you'll see more people in wheelchairs in advertisements or other disabilities. Somebody that's deaf in an advertisement. It's a more accepted issue.
Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes things are beyond my understanding of why things don't happen. We recently noticed that the governor isn't using sign language interpreters to announce emergency situation. And we've urged them to do that, but we haven't seen it yet. And it's really important that our deaf friends also have access to the same information that people who aren't deaf. So those are some of the challenges that exist.
Sure.
But overall, I think there's good work being done, not just by us, but by other groups that really want to promote the best interests of people with disabilities. We believe the best interest is people to be in their own homes, in their own communities. And so we focus on people who want to live independently in the community. Not judging those who decide they want to be in an institution at all, but those are people that can get services from several other agencies, whereas our specialty is assisting people to live independently.
Yeah. Friends, we are with Maria Dibble, who is the Executive Director of the Southern Tier Independence Center. And Maria, what I'd like to ask, can you share with some of our listeners and viewers who might have been in the same position I was, that I never really understood this agency and such things, but what are some of the services that you'd like to take this time to promote, to the things that you really got your sleeves rolled up in and that you're really a part of through STIC? What are some
So
of the
one
things?
of our big services is called the Consumer Directed Personal Assistance Program. It is a home care program with a little bit of a twist. Home care is a program, or personal care is a program where attendants come into the home and assist people with disabilities, to do things they can't do for themselves. It might be cleaning the house, it might be cooking a meal, it might be helping the person to bathe or to use the toilet or to do any number of sometimes very intimate tasks that they need done. What our program does in its specialty is that instead of being sent an aide from an agency, they hire and train their own aides. And
Okay.
it's a big difference. And the reason it's so important is because, and it's not for everybody, because you have to be able to supervise or have somebody that will supervise the attendants for you. But for those people who want to make the choice to hire and train their own people, they are making the choice. So sometimes when you have very intimate personal tasks being done to your body,
Yes.
you want somebody that you feel very comfortable with doing those things.
Sure.
So this program gives you the opportunity to do that. So that program, even though we're in a struggle right now with trying to avoid face-to-face contact and things like that, this is one of those programs that if the consumers need the service and the aide is willing to come in, as many of them are, then the program is continuing, because these are programs where some people would not be able to get out of bed or use the toilet by themselves. So
Right.
you can't leave those people abandoned.
Right.
That's one of our big programs. We also work a lot with people with intellectual disabilities. So we have a program called Community Habilitation, which works, I think it's an awful name, but it works to take people into the community to help them work on goals that they have chosen or they and their family have chosen. It could be any kind of goal, learning how to grocery shop by themselves, to
Okay.
learning how to use transportation, or it might be a recreational goal, going to the park, getting some exercise, whatever their goal might be. They are one-on-one for the most part with their with their workers. It's called the person's called a direct service professional, DSP. So they're with their DSP and they're out in the community and learning different tasks. We're trying to adjust that program a little now to be more not out in the community while we go through this coronavirus situation.
Yes. Yeah.
But
yeah.
we are still trying to keep that service in place because some people still do need it.
Yes. Now you were sharing some of the details about that consumer-directed personal assistance, the CDPA, and that's being targeted by the governor at this time, or
Yes.
Okay.
And it's astounding
Okay.
because the CDPA program that I'm talking about, the one that STIC runs,
Yes.
is the least expensive by several dollars an hour to the nearest higher level of care program.
Okay.
It's the least expensive, but he's targeting the least expensive program instead of the most expensive.
Okay.
We don't really understand it. I don't know if I ever will understand that reasoning. When you're trying to save money, why are you cutting the
Yeah.
program that saves you the most money? So it is it's a dilemma, and we're working on it.
Yes, yeah. Now, how many aides? Just to put this in perspective, how many aides? This is one of your largest services. How many aides have you trained that are out doing this?
Off the
Ballpark.
top of my head,
Yeah.
I think it's around 400.
Wow.
So 300 to 400. It might be 300. It might be
That's amazing.
Yeah, 300 to 400.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And it gives people jobs. It doesn't pay very well, unfortunately, because of the way the Medicaid system works.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for some people, they get a lot of enjoyment out of helping others. And many times the consumers form tight bonds with the people that work for them. So it's a great program.
Yes.
We also have employment services where we help people to find jobs. We do a lot of support with loaning out not necessarily medical equipment. Although most people would probably think of it as that, but it could be a wheelchair, it could be a tub seat, or it could be, a commode, or crutches, or walkers, or more specialized equipment. So we do loan that out. That's a very popular program.
Yes,
And it's free.
Yeah. Now, one of the things we were talking before this time we're spending together, this all takes money. This all, and so how does funding play into this, either on a state or federal level, or could you discuss that a little bit?
The
for
funding
us?
situation for us is getting a little bit dire. We have lost one program because of a change in state regulations, where they changed how they provided the service. And then after that, we are now being hit very hard with Medicaid cuts. There was a 1% cut in January. It sounds like it's a little, but it really isn't. And then now with the targets in the budget that the governor's taking at the CDPA program, that's going to have dire impact not only on our agency, but more importantly, it's going to hurt the consumers that get the services. We're there to serve. We're not there to, we're there to help people gain their independence, live independently, live the way they want to live. And the changes and the cuts are going to have direct impact on those people.
Yeah. So how do you bridge that gap? How do you, with less funding and such, are there certain things in place, fundraisers, those kinds of things?
We
or
do
how-
have
how
a
do you-
huge fundraiser, which
Okay.
is on hold right now, of course, called our
Yeah.
escapes rooms. And they are like puzzle rooms where you go in and you solve, the room might have a theme, like an Egyptian theme, and you go in and you have to solve puzzles to get out of the room. And they're very popular. And we've been doing very well with them. We were getting ready to open up a new one in May, but that's on delay now, obviously, because usually 6 to 8 people will go through the room together.
Okay.
And you're not going to be 6 feet apart. So
Yes.
we had to put that program, that fundraiser on hold.
Now, are there other fundraisers or other ways of creating this income throughout the year that our listeners or viewers?
Well, we do solicit money, whether it be through, we do send out an annual yearly campaign letter where we try to raise money through that. But again, most of our constituents are low income, so it does raise decent money, but not like the kind of money we're being cut in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Right now, the Medicaid cut that's proposed will cost us $500,000.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
and there's no fat on the program. So
Yes.
It's like, what do we do now?
Right. Getting along on a shoestring kind of thing. Yeah. Friends, we are here today with Maria Dibble, who is the Executive Director of the Southern Tier Independence Center. And whenever I'm in these type of interviews and such things, I always like to ask, what is the greatest joy in what you are doing, and also the flip side of that, what is the most frustrating part of what you're doing right now?
The most frustrating part is government
Okay.
and not understanding
That's fair enough.
how programs work that they're funding or proposing to cut, and not really having a grasp on what we do and what issues we're facing as we're providing services in the community. The joy is when somebody says to me, I don't know how I would live without the service you provide. That's the joy. That's the thing that brings me. We just assisted a woman to get out of a nursing home, and she'd been trying to get out for years and been frustrated by one barrier after another. And her daughter came to me and she said, I just can't thank you enough. And she was thanking me. I was almost embarrassed with how grateful she was. But we were doing our job. We were doing what we believe in. And she was so impressed with the staff that cared so much, that really fought hard to get her mom out of that nursing home. And she's now living home independently. So it achieved our goal. The goal we have is to assist others to achieve their goals. And if that happens, there's nothing more satisfying.
Yeah.
It's truly remarkable. And I just wanted to say that for folks who have any questions about any kind of disability-related issues, we are there to answer questions. Even in this crisis, people can leave a message and we will respond within a short time. We are monitoring the phones, even though most staff are working from home. So we are there to answer your questions about disability, about services, and what we can do to help, we will. And if we know of somebody else that can help, we always make referrals.
Now, are there ways, since you're on that line, are there ways in which our viewers and listeners can contact STIC? What are some of the best ways of doing that?
Well, you can call at 724-2111 and leave a message. And again, they're being checked frequently, so they'll be forwarded to the appropriate person. Right now, we don't have any front office staff answering the phones or anything like that, so that would probably be the easiest and the best way to reach us. You can also check out our services at www.stic-cil.org.
Great. That's an amazing website. I was very impressed when I went to your website to see the listings of services and such. One of the things that I'd like to ask also, are there things that the community can do to support your efforts? I'm a pastor of a church, and I know churches and other civic organizations are always trying to find ways in which they can help. They can lend a hand, whether it be financially or in person. Are there things that you could share with our listeners and viewers in ways that we can support your efforts?
Financially right now would be the I hate to say it, I hate to always be like, oh, hand out, give me money, but yeah, with all the cuts that we've been suffering lately, and look to be suffering toward the future, support like that would be just invaluable to us. And all the services, all the donations go to the services that support the people in the community. We have a very low administration rate of under 10%, and that's about as slim as you can get and still meet the needs of your staff and to meet the needs of the people we're serving.
Now, are there materials? Is there anything else that the people can do in the community to help and support in what you're doing outside of the financial responsibilities?
If people have, wheelchairs or other kinds of medical equipment that maybe they got for a family that had an illness and they want to donate it somewhere, we do take donations. There's certain equipment we won't take,
Sure.
But we will take things like commodes or tub seats, and when we have extra, we give them away to other people so that they don't have to then find a resource to purchase them. So we do give away equipment.
Okay.
We have a lot of it. We have a very big loan closet, over 100 wheelchairs of different sizes. We even have some children's equipment.
So you would take some of that stuff if it's in good working condition.
Yes,
and
we
such
would.
things.
Absolutely.
Okay. We have about 5 minutes left, Maria. Is there other things that you'd like to share that perhaps we haven't touched on at this point about STIC and about even where the future of where you're going in the future with this amazing service? Are there things that you want our listeners and viewers to know?
Well, I want you to know that we were built on and still live with the peer approach. And that means that we have a lot of people with disabilities supporting and working with other people with disabilities. Sometimes it's through counseling, sometimes it's through information and referral, sometimes with direct assistance with learning a skill, or sometimes trying to get through a difficult social services application or Medicaid application or Social Security or something like that, because sometimes they're very complex forms and people don't know how to fill them out. We do just about anything we can to support a person with a disability. And our board of directors is also at least 51% people with disabilities at all times. That's part of the law that established us. So it's people with disabilities making the policies, developing the services, and implementing those policies and procedures. A majority of people with disabilities. So it's unique in that regard that from other agencies that do similar services.
Yeah, it's amazing. I would imagine that a lot of what you do with people are just kind of taking them from point A to point B, whatever that is.
That's
whether
right.
it's filling out forms or whether it's getting them equipment or whether it's job training or whatever it might be. And those needs kind of arise as you build that relationship, because I'm sure that's the key to the whole thing.
Exactly. People come to us, they find out about, they get asked for one service and then they find out about others,
Yeah.
and so they often are taking advantage of a large variety of the services.
Yeah, and that's got to be exciting to see that kind of peel the layers of the onion away so that you can help them to the very best of your abilities.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's. Well, is there any final thing that you'd like to share with our listeners? We have about 2 minutes left. Anything else that you'd like? You've got the stage.
Well, I just want the community to know that we are still in operation. It's not the same way as it was 2 weeks ago, We're mostly working out of the office. People are working from home, but there are a few people still on site. And we are working to make sure that the critical services that we provide are still going to be available to you to the best of our ability. Some of them can't be, it's unfortunate, but we are doing our best to keep the services that keep people living independently and alive, even in some cases, are still in place. If you have a question or you need something, give us a call. We're still in that planning phase, but by the end of this week, most of our services should be strong and up and running again, one way or another. At least you'll be able to contact people by email or by telephone. So you can call us at 724-2111, and we will return your call in the appropriate, as quick as we can, and directing those calls to the appropriate people. And thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate all that you're doing for so many people. Even as we were discussing, even for your employees right now and such things, and those employees that are really touching the hearts and making life better for others. And I can see the passion in you, and I just appreciate that. And I'm glad that we've had this time together to share with the wonderful work that you're doing. So I would encourage folks that if you have time to go visit their website, give them a call if you have any questions, or if you know of someone maybe in your family or in your neighborhood, community, your church, wherever it might be, that may benefit from the services through the Southern Tier Independence Center. Please reach out, give them a call, or even if there's a way that you can help financially support them during these difficult times that we're all enduring. So if there's anything that you can do at any time, I would certainly appreciate it, as I know they would also. But our guest again has been Maria Dibble. She is the Executive Director of STIC, the Southern Tier Independence Center. And again, Maria, thank you for being here. I appreciate your passion to making a difference in our community and the lives of quite literally hundreds and thousands of people over your 37 years. So thank you for being a pioneer in this area of life.
It's been an honor. Thank you.
Friends, I hope that God will surround you with a peace during these difficult times as we are going through. I would ask that you please keep your eyes and ears open in ways that you can help neighbors in need during this time, whatever that need may be. And may God bless you this day and all your days. Have a great day.